Hi everybody, this is Shelly, and I'm going to do a top 10 video for you today, so stay tuned. Hi, so I'm going to do a top 10 male characters video, and I've seen this on one other channel, I believe it was Bookables, and I've seen, I believe, top 5 book boyfriends, which I didn't really want to do just top 5 book boyfriends because mine kind of change all the time. But my top male characters, actually, these probably change a lot too. So right now, these are the top 10 characters that, I have a couple that will always be on this list, but I've just finished a lot of new books recently, and so some of these are from those new books. So let's get started. My number 10 top male character is Aiden from the Covenant series by Jennifer Armentrout. And this is actually the last book of that series. I only have the last two in paper. The rest I have just on Kindle. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these just because if you read the books, then you know why I picked these people. It's actually been quite a while since I've read this series. I just know that I really like Aiden. And this series is, it's a really good series. If you haven't read it, it's really good. My number 9 is Zadist. I don't know how. This is real foily, so I don't know how well you can see that. Zadist from Lover Awakened, and this is the second book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward, and this is an adult series. If you haven't read these books, Zadist is kind of the most tortured, the most damaged of the brothers. He is probably the one who's been through the most, and his transformation is kind of phenomenal, and that's why I have picked him. If you've read these, they're good. If you haven't read them and you like adult paranormal, this is a good series. The first books are better than the more recent ones, I believe, though. I've read them all, but the first are definitely better than the newer ones. Okay, my number 3 is one that I've seen on a lot of lists, and not number 3, number 8. I'm counting the other way. And it is Jace from the Mortal Instruments series, and I don't really think I need to say anything else about this. I still love this series. I like that she keeps writing more books. Yeah, sure, the story could have been over after the first, 3 or whatever, but I like that she's continued the series, and so my number 8 is Jace from City of Bones. My number 7 is one that is probably not on anyone else's list or isn't that I've seen, but that is Will Cooper from the Colleen Hoover Slam series, and I just love him. He does slam poetry. I don't know. I just love him. If you've read these books, you know why. If you haven't, this is a really good series, so I recommend these. Colleen Hoover's a really, really good writer. And her secondary characters are just as engaging as her primary characters, so she does a really, really good job with her secondary characters. My number 6 is way closer to the top on a lot of people's lists, but I just finished this series. I've only read it through once. I love him, but I picked him for number 6, and that is 4 from the Divergent series, and I will tell you, I believe I saw the movie trailer before, or like the teasers, and I knew who was playing for in the movies, and I adore him. He is a British actor that was on a series that we watched, a British series several years ago called Bedlam, and I just loved him on that series, and I'm going to love him in the movies. So my number 6 pick is 4, which sounds weird. My number 6 is 4. My number 5 is also from another series that I just finished reading, and that is Liam from the Darkest Mind series. I love Liam. I just finished this. I read these 2 books and the novella in time within like 3 days. I think I finished all 3 of them in like 3 or 4 days. And I just love Liam. I love that he's loyal. I love that he went through so much. But he still is the same person inside, and I just love Liam. So I can't wait to see what happens with him in the last book. I guess it's the last book. I don't know if this is just a trilogy or not. My number 4 is Eric from the Sookie Stackhouse or the Southern Vampire series, and I absolutely hate these covers. This is the last of the series that I've gotten, and I believe this is book 9. Um, and I did not like the last 3 or 4 books of the series, so I don't know that I'll ever buy them, but I will read the first handful of them over and over again. Um, Eric was always my favorite character from the very first time that he came into the series. He was my favorite character. He is my favorite character on the TV show. I just love him, and so Eric is my number 4. My number 3 is I don't have any of the physical books, so I will just pop a picture of him up here. But it is Gabriel Emerson from the Gabriel's Inferno trilogy by Sylvain Renard. And if you've read that series, then you do not even need an explanation as to why I like him. He's smart. He's one of these characters that, if there's ever a character like him in a book, that character is my favorite. And the one that is kind of tortured, similar to Zadis, not as tortured, but he has things in his past that he's trying to overcome. Men that make transformations. Those are the ones that I'm most drawn to in a series. And Gabriel is one of those characters that makes a really, really awesome transformation over the series of the books. So Gabriel Emerson is my number 3. Okay, my top 2, actually my top 3 will probably always be my top 3 no matter what, unless I come across a series that's just like super, super awesome. But my number 2 is Jericho Barons from the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. And this is the only book I actually have in print for that series, and I'm gonna start picking those up. And I don't even know. This one I just came across. I think it was like one of my 3 for $1 books, so I grabbed it. But I would actually like to get all of these in hardback. But if you have not read this series, this is probably, if I had to do a top 5 favorite series, adult series, this would probably be very, very close to the top of that list. The first one is Dark Fever. And I don't even remember. I just stumbled across these at some point. And these, seriously, I could read these books over and over. I think I've read the entire series 3 times. But this is one series that I could read over and over. And Jericho is awesome. And he's one of those characters that's not necessarily always a good guy. You don't know if he's a good guy. But he's just, you can't help but like him. So Jericho is my number 2 top male character. My number 1 top male character is, and will always probably be, Jamie Fraser from the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. I have read the first 5 books in this series, I believe. I get stuck on the 6th book every single time. I've read these 3 times, and I get stuck on the 6th book every single time, A Breath of Snow and Ashes. For some reason, I cannot get through it, so I have not finished the series. But this Jamie Fraser, 21-year-old Jamie Fraser, the Jamie Fraser in this book is my favorite male character. Now, I still like him as he gets older. I have a really hard time with seeing my favorite characters as older people. And in the book that I'm in, The Breath of Snow and Ashes, he's in his like 40s or something like that. And so it's hard for me to see my favorite characters age. And so that's another reason I've had such a hard time with the series, I think. But if you have not, even if you only ever read this book of the series, this book is so, so worth it. And it's an adult book. And then you will know why Jamie Fraser is my number 1 male character. Starz is filming a TV series for this book right now. And I believe it's going to be out in the spring, possibly, and it's going to be awesome. And this is something that's been in production for, I don't know, years, I want to say. I mean, it's been 6 or 7 years since I read this book originally, and I know there were whispers of it back then. So if you have not picked up this book, I highly, highly recommend this book because it's awesome. So that is my top 10 male characters. This may be something that I want to revisit in another year and see how those have changed, because I have all these books behind me that need to be read, and so there's probably going to be a lot more fun characters. So leave me a comment if any of these would be in your top 10, and these are always really fun to watch other people's. So if you're so inclined, I would love to see what your top 10 male characters would look like. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.